I'll lead us in the pledge. Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you. And I was going to do the inspiration today. We haven't done this in a while. For anybody who's new to our club, the four-way test is sort of this essential piece of Rotary. And I thought we could recite the four-way test together. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, you can read along. Thank you, Jenny. So the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial for all concerned? Thank you. Please sit. Thank you very much. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? I don't see anyone on the screen. How about in the room? Visiting Rotarians? No. Guests. I know we have some guests, and I think one of them, Janie, we're gonna get to Fess in just a second. Is there anybody else? Any other guests in the room? Debbie. Welcome. Thank you. Anybody else? Chris, or sorry. Welcome. Wonderful. Welcome. Hello, Jerry. Oh, wonderful. Hello, Bruce. He's our assistant governor for the Josephine County area. Welcome, Bruce. Okay, Janie, you have a guest. Oh, to repeat. Welcome to Fess. Yes. Yes. So Janie was introducing Fess Lellis, who is the volunteer and activity coordinator at the Oregon Youth Authority Roe Correctional Facility. And he is actually here for a special presentation that we're going to do. So many of you will remember, and some of you may not be aware, that back in June, Steve and Christy Rowe experienced a traumatic event when an armed man came to their home, fired a shotgun at them, and stole one of their trucks. The man also damaged property and carjacked several other people. And this took place at the home of John Jones and his wife, Joan Starr. Thankfully, Steve and Christy were not hurt, nor was John and Joan's tenant. But as you can imagine, they were all quite shaken. And to be frank, so were all of we when we heard the story. And many of us really wanted to do something to show our support and express our gratitude for their safety. So we've been thinking about this and working on it for a while. But two things that Steve and John share are a strong spirit of gratitude and a compassion for helping those who have made bad decisions that land them on the wrong side of the law. It seemed only fitting, therefore, that the best way for us to honor them after this incident would be to make a special contribution to the Oregon Youth Authority, where they both volunteer. So if Steve and John would come up and join Fess over here. Fess, as we said, is the activity and volunteer coordinator at OAA, and he let us know about their hope to form a soccer team. Youth there with a fun opportunity for exercise and team building. So 24 of our club members contributed a little over $1,800. And with that, we have purchased some soccer balls.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we also have a check for $1,554 to go towards a fund for purchasing shoes and other supplies for the soccer team. So,
all right. Thank you.
Steve and John.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use the mic here. So
All right. Thank you so much. Here.
use the mic.
All right. Good. So doesn't compare to the service you guys have given our youth. So we're at a youth correctional facility and they're 13 to, we keep them until 24 years old, and hopefully they can finish their sentence out with us and learn some skills to go on to be pro-social adults that you wouldn't feel too bad about having as a neighbor. So we're working on it. It's definitely a work in progress. We've got some very challenged young men that are with us. So anyways, these gentlemen have really helped us, and the guys like having them come in, and especially with the dog, to just kind of take their mind off of whatever issues they've got going on. So we really appreciate it. This is a little token of our gratitude and appreciation. It doesn't compare with what you guys have done for us, but a little lanyard in here about some core values we share. High expectations and accountability, caring and supportive relationships, safety and security, meaningful participation, and community connection. I'm glad I picked that one. That was the last one because that's what we're here for today. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll put this to good use.
Oh, yeah.
Get them up there.
Get 'em up there.
We can see
Get
it.
him up there. All right, John, turn your back around. Let's see it. Turn your
Oh, the back,
around.
excuse me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
There's a couple things I'd like to say about visiting out there. Maybe it's just me because I used to be a school teacher and like around kids, but if you like kids, go see them. Go sit and chat with them. They're looking for somebody to talk to. And one question I always ask those kids is, what are you going to be doing in 5 years? Some of them have never thought about that. Some of them have a plan, and that it's gratifying to see that kind of thing when these kids, some of these kids know what they want to do. And of course, you'll find some that you know are going to be repeat customers.
And in my case, they don't want to see me. They want.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Steve and John, thank you for being incredible role models, not just for the youth at the OAA, but for all of us as well. All right. We have a few announcements. One, I know that Kate would like me to remind everybody that the Four Way Community Foundation dinner is coming up on November 3rd. It's their celebration of spirit. Community spirit. I almost had that. At which Brenda, our very own Brenda Patton, is being recognized with a Distinguished Service Award. There are still tickets available. So if you would like to purchase a ticket, Steve included a link in the navigator. So be sure to get that. Janie wanted me to remind everyone that there are sign-up sheets on the back table if you would like to attend either of our fellowship events. In October, we're doing a Halloween party at Tap Rock, I believe, or at the Evergreen Room at Tap Rock. And in November, I think we are arranging a trip to the Glass Forge to do blown glass ornaments and then a lunch and tasting afterwards. So if you are interested in attending either of those, we're just trying to get a head count. If you are in Zoom land, you can just email Janie or Bev Walker. I don't know if we have enough board members here to have a stand-up meeting. We were going to see. I don't think we do. So we'll skip the stand-up meeting this week. Last update. Kirk wanted to share an update about polio, this being World Polio Day is at the end of this month. And so he's got an update on the status of polio in the world.
Okay, yeah, this is October is World Polio Month and World Polio Day is coming up later on. I'm not sure. I think it's 24th actually. I get an update weekly regarding polio from both Bob Rogers, who's the coordinator in District 5130, and who was the other guy here? Greg, he's in a zone 27 coordinator. Anyway, so these figures are as of end of September, and there were no polio cases of wild polio virus reported in the last week, which brings that number, it's actually 29 days since there was a case of wild polio virus in Afghanistan, 34 the number of days since the last wild polio virus occurred in Pakistan, 49 the number of days since last case was in Mozambique, and 313, which is 10 months, the number of days since the last wild polio virus occurred in Malawi. And getting down, it's so we have 27, the total number of cases wild polio virus has occurred year to date, 2 in Afghanistan, 6 in Mozambique, 19 in Pakistan. And so it's as compared to 2020, the total number of cases in 2020 was 140, and compared to 2019 was 176. So we're still getting that close and closer, but the virus is still out there. And as you know, there was one case reported in Upper New York from an unvaccinated person who was actually from Pakistan area. So it is only a plane flight away. So let's continue our efforts to stamp out this disease. We're getting that close. So I'll have another report next week. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, Rotary has partnered with a lot of different folks, but one of those is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who have continued to make very generous contributions towards matching any donations that are made to the Polio Plus Fund at Rotary International. So if you make a contribution to the Rotary Foundation, specifically targeted for Polio Plus Fund, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation matches that, I believe, 2 to 1. And that they've been doing that for many years now. And so they continue to do that. It's a great way to support polio. The other thing that I'll remind folks about is that in our district, we have something called the Polio Plus Society. If you pledge to contribute at least $100 a year until the eradication of polio, then you can become a member of the Polio Plus Society. It's a really simple way to do it. You can sign up for direct deposit and have it, come out in kind of smaller increments, each month. Set up however you want to. Quite a number of our club members are in that society. And so if you're interested in checking that out, please reach out to me or to Kirk and we can get information to you. All right. Are there any other announcements that I missed? Anyone? Jody.
Just another plug again for the condo at Sun River, the 1 week time from January 12th through the 17th. Pardon me, the 19th. I did it last week too. Anyway, if you're interested in bidding on this, it is a silent auction. I brought the flyers this time. You can actually hit the QR code, scan that, and be able to get in there and see and make a bid on that if that's something you're interested in. Also, to benefit the food bank and options, Empty Bowls is coming back, which is this coming Monday. And it's the first time in 3 years that it's been in person. Looking so forward to it. There still is time to get tickets. So if you're interested in that, it starts at 6. So a couple different shout outs for the food bank.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm going to make this really quick. So on Friday, the 14th at Evergreen Banks Bear Hotel, there is an event called The Vibe, which is to support the assessment and refurbishment and celebration of our own Performing Arts Center. And some of you will have received some invitations to that. But if you feel passionate about being a part of that dream team to make our Performing Arts Center even better into the future, please speak to me and I will make sure that you get invited to that event. So that is a partnership between the Four-Way Community Foundation, Grants Pass School District, and Evergreen Federal Bank.
Like Steve's got an announcement.
So speaking of things coming back to the community, week from tonight, on Thursday night, it's going to be 7 p.m. We have 6 amazing storytellers along with some musicians that will just talk about the mountains we climb is a theme. And there's a $5 suggested donation that will go to NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Health. So that's 7 o'clock next Thursday night at Bethany Presbyterian Church.
I think I saw in the announcement that one of our club members, Deb Amin, is going to be one of the storytellers. Great reason to go. All right. Not seeing any other announcements. I would like to invite Dawn to come up to introduce our speaker today.
Well, it's my privilege to announce Tim Sweeney as our speaker today. He is the superintendent of School District 7, and I'm sure he's going to share a lot of his vision for School District 7 as we move forward, and how nice that he's right across from Debbie Brownell, the school board member. All right, Tim, come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is that good? Does that work? Okay, good. Well, things I love to talk about, myself and the school district. So let me spend a few minutes doing that. I told I was a couple hours, so you guys are all set. We're ready to go. Where to start? I was born in the Rogue Valley, Medford, Rogue Valley Hospital, and have lived here most of my life. My wife is Jennifer, and she's a graduate of North Valley High School. We're kind of a Brady Bunch, one short each. I brought 2 boys into the marriage. She brought 2 girls into the marriage. All of them are all now grown and off doing their things. I have 1 grandchild, which was a big draw back home to the Rogue Valley. Lauren Grayson, she's going to stay with us tomorrow night. We're pretty excited about seeing her again. She lives in Medford. So all of our family is here in the Rogue Valley. My wife, Jennifer, is a principal at White Mountain Middle School in Eagle Point School District. And she's enjoying that very much. And on July 1st, I started as the superintendent of the Grants Pass School District after spending 12 years in Coquille in the same role. So taught in Eagle Point, went to Butte Falls for 3 years, was hired there as a principal. 10 days after becoming the principal, they named me the superintendent. Spent 3 years in Butte Falls, 12 years in Coquille. So now here in Grants Pass, this is my 16th year as a superintendent, 34th year in education. I am a 3rd generation. My grandfather, James Sweeney, was a superintendent in Clarion County, Pennsylvania, way back in the day. And I messed this story up earlier in the summer. My grandfather was superintendent during the Great Depression. Can't hear me? A little louder. Okay, I have my teacher voice. I will bust it out. Okay. My grandfather was superintendent during the Great Depression, and he made $100 a month for the 10 months school was in session. And so he made $1,000 a year as the superintendent of the school district, and then had to go work in the steel mills during the summer months, along with the teachers and folks. That's how they made ends meet. And of course, if you could get that job during the recession. My father, Don Sweeney, was a Korean War veteran, and he, after the war, had a couple of amputations on his right leg. They took it below the knee, and then they had to take it above the knee. And so he became a teacher more by default than by passion. He wanted to be a police officer, but could not do that. So went into education, was finally through the years, ended up in Butte Falls as the superintendent up there for several years. He retired in 1981 when the, I say this tongue in cheek, when the communists took over and wouldn't let him smoke his cigarettes in his office anymore. So at that point, he was done. It was, the world was going to pieces all around him. He couldn't even sit in his car and smoke. He had to, right? So he had to give it up. So here I am, 3rd generation. Enjoyed these first few months very much. As I said, I started on July 5th. And one of the very first people I met was Kate. I think we met like 3 days after I arrived. And she shared with me her grand idea about refurbishing the Performing Arts Center. So if you are interested in that help and that support, we would love to see you next. We've been working on that project now since July, and we're hopefully going in an exciting direction. So there is the Performing Arts Center is getting to be about 25 years old, needs a little TLC, and TLC in these days is not cheap. So what about the Grants Pass School District? What are my visions for that? Pardon me. I have a lot. You know, when you're talking about a school district, it's not just one thing. We want to improve graduation rate or something like that. It's all encompassing. We talk a lot about kindergarten, food service, athletics, music, graduation rate, 9th grade on track, 3rd grade reading scores, all of those things, and so many more things come into the operation of a school district. So where we started at was, I'm going to say this, pandemic's over for the most part. You know, we're moving past that. We're back in school full time. The masks are off, of course, optional if you want to. But the pandemic's no longer the driving force in our day-to-day activities at the school district. And we're thankful for that. We're very blessed to be able to see faces again, to be able to see smiles on students' faces, for them to see our smiles, to be able to work with students more closely than we have been in the last couple of years. So if you took a look at the results we had over the pandemic in reading and math, you see that we've lost a lot of ground. And when I say we, I mean the collective education system in the nation. And certainly the state of Oregon. I think the Oregonian headline was 20 years of growth was washed out in 2 years of pandemic. We saw a huge decline over these. So now we have students coming back to us that are struggling with social interaction. They are behind in their math, their reading, their writing skills, their technology. Well, they're okay on their technology skills. They did okay on that. You know, one of our students put for their name connecting and just left their screen blank, and the teacher's like, can't seem to figure out where that student is. So so we have to do a lot. There's a lot of catch up to be done. We're not starting at where we normally would, where you normally would with a kindergartner coming into your school, or with a 3rd grader or any other grade level. So some important things, important steps happening in the Grants Pass School District. We are spending a lot of time, energy, and effort on mental health for our students and for our staff. We've put behavior intervention specialists in each of our elementary schools. We've done that with money that's called Student Investment Account. It's a fund that the state of Oregon passed a couple of years ago. We're spending a lot of our resources for that behavior intervention piece. Mental health counseling at all the schools beyond that. So everything's a little bit bigger in Grants Pass than Coquille. In Coquille, we had 1,300 students. We had 4 schools. In Grants Pass, we have 10 schools. We have almost 5,800 students. So as I was actually listening to the numbers today, as I was preparing for this conversation with you, we actually have 3 mental health professionals just at North Middle School. So we're really focusing on our students' well-being. I'd like to see us actually have more nursing support in Grants Pass. We have 2 nurses for 5,800 students in the district. We'd like to see that increased over time. Our students are struggling just interacting with people. We're not seeing a lot of fights, which we're appreciative of, but we're seeing other behavior that's alarming to us. Suicide ideation is a big concern at this point. We have students that are looking up terms like noose and how to kill myself and stuff like that. Fortunately, when they do that on a school district computer, that immediately gets flagged to the principal of that school, and they're able to talk to that student immediately and send them help. So those are the things that we're working on the emotional side, teaching students how to walk down the hall again, how to interact at the playground again. Shockingly, playground is not a bathroom. We still have students that are like, I'm outside. It seems the time. So teaching those kind of behaviors, what we call the soft skills, right? How to say please and thank you again. How to actually ask for something and not scream at somebody when you don't get your way. And we always have those behaviors with little kids right as they're learning. And sometimes with, our principals can act that way. No, I'm teasing, of course. They would never. We've always had those behaviors, we'll always have those behaviors, right? But they're just more than ever before. We're also seeing another interesting trend. I don't know if you are aware that our friends at Three Rivers run a 4-day school week, which is great. It works for them. We actually lost staff to Three Rivers because people are going, I can make the same amount of money, work 4 days instead of 5. I'm going. But we gained a lot of students from Three Rivers because their parents are like, oh, let's send them to Grants Pass because they're running a 5-day school week. And a lot of those students have come to us on IEPs, which means they have special needs, which we were not prepared for that level. And so students coming to us with more health issues, more well-being issues, more needs than ever before. We're desperately short on teachers that can support students on IEPs, especially at the middle school level. Middle schoolers are a challenge anyway. I love them. I spent 10 years in middle school. I was an 8th grader for 10 years, enjoyed it every year. But it's not everybody's cup of tea, right? And so then you have the challenge of special needs on top of a middle schooler and everything that's happening there, finding adults that want to work with our students at that grade level with those needs has become a challenge. I think we have 8 openings just at North Middle School alone in our special education program. So those kind of things we're working on. We're just trying to get as many kids as quickly as possible up to where they would have been if there had not been a pandemic. Does that make sense? Right. And so we're really focused on that, while at the same time increasing our academic rigor, what we're asking of our students. We always want a diploma from Grants Pass High School or Gladiola High School to mean something. We don't want it to just be here. When we send a graduate out into the world, they know this person has skills, they have abilities, they're going to be a good employee, they're going to be successful at college. So we're trying to up our rigor as well to get back to the pre-pandemic levels. And we're not there yet, but that's part of the vision. I think that's important that I share that with you, is that we're supporting our students, but we're asking for them to be higher educated than we were able to do during the pandemic. And that's not a Grants Pass thing. That's across the nation. We were just trying to get through the pandemic as best we could while teaching in a really weird situation. I had people who would say to me, well, you guys, you're not even at work. You're just teaching over the television, over Zoom. I'm like, no one in their right mind would ever choose to teach over Zoom as opposed to in the classroom. This is so much harder. we don't want that. We want to be with our students. That's why we signed up for. It was nothing about it was easier. And a lot of good people were like tapping out, can't do it anymore. And so it was challenging for our staff. So we're doing some more staff support items as well. Employee assistant programs, getting them connected with mental health providers as well, and just giving them a chance to talk and get through the process of healing as well. So it's this all encompassing kind of, let's get everybody mentally healthy. Let's get some soft skills back so we know how to interact with our friends and with our peer group. And let's have some academic rigor that's more meaningful than it has been. Those are the paths we're going on. Then the school board gave me some other goals. What am I doing time-wise? Am I good? That they wanted as well. They wanted to see an increase in our graduation rate. They wanted to see an increase in our third graders' ability to read. And I have one school board member that's very clear, until we hit 100% of all our third graders reading at benchmark, we haven't been successful. That's a challenge, but we're willing to take on the challenge. We want our ninth graders on track, which means they've passed a number of classes by the end of their ninth grade year to be on track to graduate. And that's what ninth grade on track is we don't want them behind in credits. And so we've been working that approach as well, working along those lines. We're going to be doing a data walk in early November. It's open to the public. We're going to be up at Grants Pass High School in the Commons, and we're just going to put our data on the wall for everybody to see, right? Here's our reading scores. Here's our math scores. Here's our science scores. And we're going to ask people to walk around and look at that and share insights with us, and help us have conversations on how to improve and get better and what we need to do. So that's going to be looking for that. That'll come out. For those of you that are parents, it'll come out on Parent Square, but we'll also have a little media posting. We hope to have our media director back by then. She's out on maternity leave, and we're very excited for her first child. So, but be looking for that, because we're going to want the community's input and then community's voice as we start looking at what's going well and what's not going well in everything that's happening. So that's kind of the academic side of it, the social emotional piece of it. What other things are we working on? The board has asked that we increase the quality of our food that we're serving to our students. And you'd think that would be an easy one. It's really been strange during the pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, everything had to be individually wrapped, right? Little self-serving containers. Well, nobody was sending us that. So we'd get up in the morning, we'd open the big can of fruit, and we'd go and scoop, we all did. I was in the cafeteria putting individual containers of fruit into the thing, putting the lid on it, setting it aside for the kids, the whole bit, which was really labor intensive and time consuming and all that. And then industry said, well, let us give you this all pre-packaged food. Great. Now we've got all this pre-packaged food. The pandemic's end, and everybody's like, hey, we want to go back to salad bars. We want to go back to home cooked meals. We want to go back to these things. And our service providers are like, no, we've got all this stuff that's pre-packaged, and you're not getting anything else till this stuff is off our shelves. So that's been a fun challenge. So we are trying desperately to get that out, and so that we can get back to where we were cooking meals. We've made a commitment that we're going to have home cooked option, actually not home cooked. I'm not asking my cooks to go and work in their own ovens, right? But, actually made food in the cafeteria, not just taken out of a package and warmed up, that we're actually going in, we're making the bread, or we're chopping the salad, or whatever it is that we have been doing in the past, that we're doing that we're committed to doing that again. And that we're serving hot breakfasts, because we've all heard about the kid who gets the Cocoa Puffs and pours the chocolate milk on the Cocoa Puffs and calls that breakfast, and it's delicious. and it's wonderful. And the kid has a really great sugar rush and is really ready to start the day. And then about 20 minutes later, there's a complete crash. We need to do better. So we're trying to do that. And we hope to be done with all the prepackaged stuff by January. And we're back to preparing the meals ourselves. But that's been one of the challenges and one of the things the board's asked me to take a look at. And we've got a little committee. We've gone to have some meals and we sit down with our students. What's working for you? What's not working for you? And they've been great. They've been really honest. We've had breakfast at Allendale and the kindergartner's like, my granddaughter she's 4 years old, really looking forward to kindergarten next year. We're out to breakfast and she gets, I forget what it was, some applesauce or whatever. What do you think of the applesauce? I'm like, oh, okay. And that's the reactions our kindergartners were giving us to some of the food, right? No good. But others were like, oh, this part's good. This part's not good. We sat down with high schoolers and, no high schooler wants to sit down with the superintendent and have lunch or the school board, but they were good. They were like, yeah, we'll do that. In North Middle School, we had lunch there and we talked to folks. And so we take this back and we're working on it and we're improving that part of our school district as well. So we have a lot of projects to get done infrastructure wise across the district. As you know, the pandemic has created a supply chain issue and trying to just get things repaired has been time consuming. We were supposed to put roofs on 3 of our schools this summer. We only get 2 of them done. And we still have 1 more we hope to get done next summer and things like that. So lots of things happening in the district. I would tell you that most of them are really good things, really great things. Our enrollment is up. Our parents are excited. Our parents are able to come to the classroom. They're able to, I was talking to someone saying that we've got readers in all 6 elementary schools, part of the Rotary Club that are in there. Our doors are open again. We're thankful for that. We're excited about that. A lot of good things happening, just a lot of work ahead of us. And we're excited for the work. It's the right work. But we really think that we're headed back in the right direction. I hear this a lot, and I've already heard it again today. Who's sharing that? It's a great school district. It is a great school district filled with really great people who really want great things for our students. And COVID really stunk and we hated it, but we're past that part. And let's get back to being great and doing great things again and partnering with our community partners and doing the things that we all want for our students. That's the direction we're headed in the Grants Pass School District. And I'd love to answer any questions you might have. Yes, I can. The question was talking about students being behind. Where are we seeing those students behind at, and what are the challenges that we're seeing for the most part? Part of the problem we have is if you were a sophomore or a freshman when the pandemic hit, we don't have the runway to get you caught up. And I'm not going to stand up here and say to you, we're going to have everybody caught up. We're not. That freshman is now a senior. We're going to do our very best to give them as many tools as we can so they can be successful, but they're not going to go through graduation with the same level of knowledge as somebody who did pre-pandemic. There's just not enough time to do that. Is there enough time with the current seventh graders? So they were 4th grade when the pandemic hit and now they're in 7th grade. Yes, we think there's time to get that student caught up. Where are we seeing the most challenges? absolutely in what we call the soft skills, the ability to interact with each other. It is not as much about the academic piece. The academic piece is there and it's important, but the inability to relate and communicate with each other and to behave in a manner that civilized society expects is really a challenge. And it's not just kindergartners anymore for the first time through the doors. It's elementary students. We have fifth graders that have lost their ability to interact with their peers. So I was in second grade, I was doing great. Now I've been sent home for 3 years and I've come back and all these people and they're terrifying me. And I'm lashing out in all kinds of different directions. So the number of staff members that have been kicked, bit, or scratched in the first month of school, a little bit month plus, staggering number. Yeah. So, yes. Great question. So the enrollment question, how do we look pre-pandemic, pandemic, and post-pandemic? So when school shut down in March of 2020, the grants passed, school district enrollment was the highest it had ever been, 6,200. At the end of last school year, June, it was down 5,000 to 5,400, a loss of 800 students. We're now back up to almost 5,800 students. So we've gained a majority, or not a majority, a significant amount of students back. Will we continue to see students coming back? I believe so. I think that there are things that we're working on that will be very attractive to students. I have a lot of experience in my career of building alternative programs and career technical education programs that are really centered around student desires and not just what we think is a great idea. In Coquille, for example, we had a heavy equipment simulator room that had, I think it was 7 simulators, a full motion airplane simulator, a full motion heavy equipment, front loader, long haul trucking simulator, those kind of things, where students could get some real life skills and then get certificates from Caterpillar Company, for example, and then go be job ready. I think if we start providing those kinds of opportunities for our students in Grants Pass, that will attract students that are perhaps living or not sure if school is the place they want to be, how they want to finish. There's nothing in it for me. Oh, now I can see that I can do this. And I tell people, you put a high school kid in front of a $300,000 video game, which is what a simulator is, right? They're going to learn skills and they're going to want to come to school. So we are better off than we thought we'd be. We're not back to pre-pandemic levels. So yes.
I think that COVID was hard across the board for students, but I think there's one specific group that I'm most concerned about, and those were the ones that were sophomores, seniors in this time frame and just plain gave up on school. School district helping these kids who basically just checked out, helping them get their GEDs if that's the only option they have. What are we doing to address it?
Thank you. Great question. So the question was, what are we doing to help high school students that dropped out during the pandemic or are now credit deficit and struggling to get caught back up during the pandemic, or now that the pandemic's passed us? We're actually doing quite a bit. We have 2 alternative campuses, Gladiola and GP Flex. Both are doing pretty well enrollment wise. GP Flex has grown since the beginning of the school year, and they're doing a great job of helping students that I've adjusted to online learning and I don't want to go back to in-person learning. So they're working with that student in particular, and they have about 105 students, almost all high school. I think I'm going to say 8 to 10 middle schoolers, but for the most part, they're all high schoolers. And so we're helping them to adjust and come back to get ready to graduate. Gladiola is doing the same. I was told this number yesterday. We have 35 students that would be in their senior year that are not going to graduate on time, that are already focused on their GED, and we anticipate all 35 of them receiving their GED in the coming months. I talked to Dr. Shunk, just yesterday, and he said that he feels like they're on pace to have those 35 students get their GEDs. So if they've already turned 21, 21's the magic number. Yes, we can work with a student up to, generally most of the time it's 19. If they're on IEP, by law, it's 21. Usually by 19, we've done all we can do. But if we have somebody who's 20 and they're like, just need to get those last few credits or need that support getting the GED, we're there for them. We're not going to turn them away. Yes.
Hey, hello. Thank you for everything you do for our community.
Well, thank you.
I just have two questions.
Sure.
How are extra pandemic? I mean, not just sport, but like chess clubs, the
Yes.
practice, has that been restored? That'd be my first question. My second question has to do with drugs. Are you seeing drugs becoming an even worse problem than it was pre-pandemic, or is it getting better, getting worse?
Okay. The question one was around extracurricular activities, not just athletics, and how are we doing there? And then part two of the question was, what about drug usage? Are we seeing that? I don't have the wealth of experience in the grants pass system to know whether or not we're seeing more drugs or less. I will tell you that vaping is an issue and continues to be an issue, and we're struggling to get that corralled. And that's across the board. I would say middle school on up, that we're seeing more vaping activities, and it's so easy to hide and so easy to do. And then the kids have these TikTok challenges of trying to vape behind the teacher's back and things like that. And somebody take a picture of them and stuff. So that part's frustrating, but we're at least seeing an increase in vaping. Can't tell you of overall drug usage. We are very concerned about fentanyl and what's going on there. And we're really worried about fentanyl and Halloween coming up and people out in the community tampering with candy and stuff. And we're going to be doing a lot of notices to our parents to really be cautious about that, because just one fentanyl tablet can cause a great deal of harm, right? I think they're tablets. I'm not a huge fentanyl expert, but I think there's some in tablet form. Extracurricular activities. First of all, I will address athletics because I know that part. It is up across the district for the fall sports. So, and the reason I know that is because I asked a couple of weeks ago. I said, tell me your numbers. What are we seeing? And we had a mad scramble for football helmets. At the middle school level, we had 35 more players come out between the two schools, north and south, than we ever anticipated. So we were rushing like crazy to get helmets, and which was, again, a supply chain issue, but we finally got them, and students are playing sports. Cross country is up, volleyball's up. So we're seeing that. Music at the middle school level is up significantly from pre-pandemic, even pre-pandemic levels. But we have class sizes at North and South Middle School of over 40 students, multiple periods a day in music. So we're very excited about that. Other things, I know I have fifth graders at Parkside today that are at Camp Myrtlewood because they're doing their outdoor ed week, a couple of days there. They're very excited about that. We have that going on. We do have chess club going on. We have two more groups at middle school that we're starting, and one is a role-playing game. And I don't know exactly, I know one of the role-playing games that they talked about was Dungeons and Dragons. They've got a handful of kids that want to do that, but there's other role-playing games that they're taking on. We have at every school, every elementary school, what they call a SMILE program, which is out of Oregon State University, which is a science program. And those are starting, and we've already got those filled up with students that want to participate in that. And so OSU sends us these science packages. The teachers kind of open them up and the kids run with it. And we're having a lot of fun with those. Our summer school was through the roof. We had so many students participating in summer school, I want to say over 500. I want to say over 600, but I'll say 500 to be safe. Students just at the elementary level doing summer school. We have activities going every night at almost every grade level. Something's happening. We're way up, and kids want more and families want more. So we're really trying to figure that out, how to get more. So that's one of the things the board chair keeps telling me, Cassie, more. Okay. All right. We will do it. So yes. Oh yeah. If you're not doing anything Saturday, there's a huge band competition at Mel Ingram Field. It's Pride of the Northwest. There are 11 high schools from Oregon and California competing. Grants Pass High School will not be competing because they're the host, but they will be performing at 3:15 and 9:15 that day. It's $15 for a ticket to get you through the whole day. And there is a band performing on the field every half an hour from 12:30 to 10 o'clock at night. So, I mean, it's all day long. They do a morning session, do take a break for dinner, and then an evening session. A lot of fun. Yeah, the football teams lost a tough one last week, but they're off to a great start, 3-2. Boys soccer is highly ranked. No, it's just a lot of really great things going on. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, we did. We got our JV volleyball team at Grants Pass High School got an accommodation from Oregon Schools Athletic and Activities Association. They outstanding sportsmanship award for the month of September for our JV girls volleyball program. So it's not all gloom and doom as far as social interactions. We do have some bright spots. Yes.
I live out in Medford and have kids in the Medford School District, and they have an impact program for apprenticeship in the trades.
Yes.
I'm wondering if that is something.
Yeah, we have several. We don't have impact. We do work with 715, Project Youth Plus, WorkSource Oregon, and there's one other one that escapes me at the moment that we do several of those things. And we have some of the best career technical education programs in the nation. Our welding program, we had a student finish top 4 nationwide in welding last summer. We continually send students to the national competitions in manufacturing. It's really impressive. Our music program, well, I don't need to tell you about our music program. You could tell me more than I can tell you, but I know that our strings took first in a competition at Disneyland this summer. Our band won the competition in Salem last weekend. And we have coming up October 17th, we have middle school choir is going to be performing. So that'll be at the PAC. We'd love to see you there. It'll be a lot of fun. So are we good? All right. I'll stay after if you have other questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to hear all of that wonderful news about our school district. Okay. being conscious of the time that it's 1, and I know some folks will have to leave, I want to make a couple of announcements, and then for anybody who wants to stick around, we can do some happy bucks. So just wanted to let everybody know that next week's program, we have Jerry Brianza coming to give us some information about the Medford International Airport. So that should be an interesting presentation. Reminder that if you want to get tickets for the 4-Way Foundation dinner, you can check out the Navigator for a link. And if you're interested in attending either of the fellowship events in October or November, please don't forget to sign up for that on your way out. So we have an idea of how many people might be coming. And the thought of the day that I will leave everyone with is, no matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. Right? All right. So for those of you who have to leave, thank you. And we will see you next week. And for anyone who wants to stick around and share happy bucks, Kelly Moody can come up and do Sergeant at Arms if she's interested. Or we can just ring the bell and save it for next week. Okay, we're just going to save that for next week. If you've got happy bucks, bring them back next week. In the meantime, have a great day, everyone.